Hey folks, it's Dominique back here with you. We are going to address a couple of different subjects today in hopes that I'll be able to do a YouTube live stream sometime tomorrow morning, let's say between 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. on my YouTube channel, Dominique Does Life. Again, that's Dominique Does Life, and it is listed right here in the episode description. Please forgive the loud drivers outside. It's a beautiful day, and I want to go ahead and keep my veranda doors open, so apologies for that noise. What we're going to talk about today is something that's been on my mind for a while, and I know that it definitely affects my clients. I know that a lot of you out there who, realize that maybe there's something wrong in your life. Maybe there's something that's not right about your relationships. I think many of you are still under the impression that it is your fault. And while it's always good to be introspective and to consider what things we can change in our relationships and in what ways we can adapt our behavior to become healthier, more productive, more mature, more just individuals, it's also very important to be able to understand when we're experiencing problem personalities in our life, when we're interacting with people who are problem personality types, as I like to call them. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Are you, if you're tuning in, I'm assuming you might be, are you somebody by chance that feels that you're a pretty well-rounded person, you're balanced, you're psychologically healthy, you're well, you're kind, you're caring, you're empathetic, but that you feel that your relationships just are not measuring up, people aren't meeting you on equal footing and maybe aren't reciprocating that empathetic, kind nature that you express? Well, there is actually a name for what you're going through. This is an actual, very well documented and very popularly talked about issue in the psychological community, in the wellness and coaching and lifestyle consultation communities. And in fact, it's like two issues that go hand in hand. One is that you're very likely an empath. We just did a show on that about half an hour ago. Please do check it out. It's right here on Spreaker and on YouTube at Dominique Does Life. And so it's very possible that you're an empath. In fact, it's quite likely that you're an empath. But it's also possible that you may well be somebody who is codependent. That's less likely of the two options, and it's very possible to be both things at one time. The likeliest case is that you're an empath, and I can't diagnose you clearly through the radio. That's not possible. I'm not that good. I don't know if anybody is, but you're very, very likely an empath. Whether you struggle with some issues with codependency is up to you to decide. It's very possible, but you are very likely an empath. And the reason that you're in relationships like this is that you're basically such a kind person, such a caring person, that you assume that everybody else is coming from such a guileless and such a kind and such a respectful place, and they're not. And I'm not saying that everybody out there is out to get you or anything like that. I think that it's also unhealthy to go in that opposite direction of kind of cutting everybody out of your life and saying if somebody looks at you wrong, they're toxic and you can't talk to them. And, that actually kind of makes you out to be, rather a jerk. So don't do that. That's not what I'm suggesting. There are a lot of counselors, coaches, therapists, psychologists, and psychotherapists like myself that unfortunately do advocate that, and I think that is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But what you are going through right now, my friend, is very likely the result of you being an empath. You try to meet other people on equal footing when it comes to relationships, whether they be personal, romantic, work relationships, family relationships. You try to meet other people on equal footing. In fact, it's very likely that you try to prove yourself to people because you know how much kindness, genuine kindness, counts to you You're out there trying to prove yourself to other people. You're out there trying to show other people that you're so caring and so kind and so giving that you're not even going to express any boundaries of any kind, because obviously everybody else is as kind and caring and empathetic as you are. Well, my dear, that is not the case, as I'm sure you have come to realize in some regard with some part of your mind, whether it be conscious or subconscious. That's simply not the case. And when we do present, not necessarily just as folks who don't have boundaries, but when we present as people who are empathetic and genuinely kind and caring and loving and goodly people, it's sad and it's very unfortunate, but there are many people out there who are going to jump at that, who are going to take advantage of that, and who are going to say, you know what, this person is a perfect target, so it's not you. Now, I'm not saying, again, that there aren't behaviors that you could modify or change just for your own health and wellness and peace of mind. There, of course, are. That's just the way of it in life. And I'm not placing any judgments on you. We can all change for the better. We can all improve. In fact, one good way to kind of test people that you're meeting to see if they're healthy individuals or if they're individuals that are going to use you and are going to try to glom onto you to use you for a purpose or to fill a hole in their hearts or in their minds or in their lives. One way that you can weed people like that out is to immediately up front when you meet them, ask them in whatever way you so choose and feel is appropriate, how they feel that they could grow or change as a person. Now, you might think that that's a question that anybody could kind of BS their way through. It's not the case. There is a group of people out there, and my dear, these people are the ones that are targeting you and are the ones who are sort of gunning for you, if you will, and that's why you've been through what you've been through. There is a group of people called Cluster B, personality disordered individuals. So I want you to Google that term. I want you to check out my YouTube channel, Dominique Does Life. I want you to Google the heck out of that term. Search it on YouTube. Search Cluster B personality disorders. Search narcissism and search sociopathy. And you will get a resolution to your problem. Now, unfortunately, this is not just a one relationship or two relationship issue for you. This is something you've probably been through your entire life. You've been victimized by these people. So by asking them up front, how do you feel that you can, grow or change as a person, you are going to get a very direct and specific answer, and it's going to weed folks like this out. It's pretty foolproof. For example, if I were to ask you how you think you could grow or change, you might say something like, well, I could certainly work on my active listening skills. I could stop interrupting people. I could put myself out there more. I could be more genuine. I could express my genuine thoughts and feelings more without concern for what people think of me, right? You would say something like that. You might say, gosh, I would apologize to this individual from my past that I've hurt. That's been weighing on me, and I know it's been hurting their heart as well, and that's how I could change as a person. Somebody who is a cluster B personality disordered individual, whether they suffer from narcissism, sociopathy, borderline personality disorder, or histrionic personality disorder, is not going to be able to answer that question in a normal way. They might say something grandiose or silly or empty, like they might, for instance, repeat something they saw on Deepak Chopra's Facebook page. They might give you a platitude. They might say something like, well, I would climb Mount Everest again. I would climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I would go deep sea diving at the Great Barrier Reef. And clearly that has nothing to do with you improving as a person. You just hot dogged and showboated your way out of a really easy to answer question and kind of made yourself look like a jerk. So if you hear responses like that, if you hear things like, well, I would do more yoga so that I can become proficient in the art of the headstand, then of course you're going to realize that that person is not a well-grounded and well-developed individual. And that should be your first red flag. We did an episode on red flags right here on Spreaker yesterday or the day before. I believe it was yesterday. Check it out. It really ties in well to what we're talking about right now. Red flag behaviors are those behaviors that you see both up front and as you continue along throughout the relationship with this individual. They might be things like the person talking about themselves too much, the person being really vague when they talk to you about any subject. They might interrupt you. They might stare at you with kind of dead shark eyes. I always say that the difference between narcissists and sociopaths is that sociopaths have gone to the Ben Affleck School of Acting, and narcissists have gone to the William Shatner School of Acting. So it's it's not that cut and dried. There certainly are narcissists who are covert and less overt, who are not malignant. There are sociopaths who are a little bit more well-versed in just communication and how to talk to their targets. But for the most part, that information is going to serve you pretty well. You're going to notice red flag behaviors though. And because you are an empath, unfortunately, when you notice these types of behaviors, you're going to write them off. You're going to say, oh, I'm being too judgmental, which by the way, you're not, because you're an empath and you're not a judgmental person. You're going to say, I'm being too judgmental. I need to give the person a second chance, a third chance, a fifth chance, a 10th chance, a 30th chance. Maybe they've changed. You're going to say something like, well, maybe I misread what they were putting across. Maybe I misunderstood what they said. None of those things are true, and you should absolutely trust your gut instinct up front. I mean, you, after all, are the person who gets to decide who you spend your valuable time with in life. We don't know how many breaths we have left. We don't know how many heartbeats we have left. It's up to us to decide who gets to be in our lives and whose lives we want to be a part of. So think of it that way. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not hurting anybody by saying, hey, no thanks, I'm going to pass on this friendship. And a mature adult, although they may be hurt, probably not if you don't know them that well, but if it's possible, I guess, that they might be, they'll get over it. They'll be able to self-regulate, and they'll be able to say, okay, I hear you, I feel you, I understand what you're saying. Respect, I get it. Thank you. Thanks for, entertaining the idea of being in my life. And they're going to leave it at that. Somebody who is a disordered person, who I'm sorry to say, but that is the type of person you've been struggling with, and that is why you've been having these problems in your relationship. Somebody who's disordered will say something like, how dare you end your friendship with me? I'm a great person and I'm a nice guy and you should give me a chance. And let me tell you, I have honestly heard that as an excuse from many of my clients who have been victimized by folks like these, as well as many people who I've seen who struggle with narcissistic tendencies. They will literally say something like, I'm a nice guy. If you would have given me the chance, I would have shown you what a nice guy I am. Now I have to tell you what a bitch you are. Well, clearly a nice guy is not going to call somebody a bitch or a jerk or what have you. They're going to say, okay, I wish you would have made a different decision, but we're good, right? So keep that in mind, please. A genuinely kind person is never going to assault your boundaries in that way. So please do keep that in mind going forward. You don't owe anybody a chance. And if somebody has come into your life as, say, a friend and they want more, that is disingenuous. Please stick to your boundaries. My friends, you're not alone. I want you to have a wonderful problem personality free day and evening. I've got your back. I'm here with you. Thanks for tuning in.